part of it. And I hope to spend the next 45 minutes to an hour or so imparting some information that you find useful. As you heard, my name is Ken Blossom. I'm a Vice President with IBM, responsible for security solutions. In my role with IBM, the best part of my job is meeting with customers. I get to meet with literally hundreds of customers from around the world. This year alone, I have met with approximately 250 customers, many of them chief information security officers, senior security architects, occasionally CIOs, chief information officers, and what you'll hear today is largely the result of interaction with many, many customers from around the world, from large banks, from large military organizations. I was in Italy last week, for example, and met with several of the key officers from the Italian Ministry of Defense. So when you hear what I have to say today, think of it as an opportunity to gain knowledge from key clients from around the world that IBM interacts with. We're going to talk about three key subjects. First, what are these clients that we have an opportunity to serve worried about? What keeps them awake at night? And I'm going to talk about both business challenges and the technical and threat challenges that they face. And then we're going to talk a little bit about IBM's approach to security, what our strategy is, and how we aim to help our customers. And then I'm going to spend some time talking about some actual examples and talk about the problems that specific customers face, the way we were able to help them along with some of our key business partners. I'll mention them specifically as we go through. And then what were some of the benefits these customers were able to obtain by implementing security solutions. So let's start with the client challenges. If there weren't customer problems to solve, of course, most of us here would really not have a job. And by the way, for all of you young people out there, and for me, young is relative, but certainly anyone under 30, security is a great place for you to be. It's one of those few functions in business where the unemployment rate in almost every place in the world is negative, meaning there's more jobs than people to fill those jobs. So I encourage you, if you're a student or early in your career, stay with it. Security is a great place to be. All right. I am going to focus on a few select items from this particular chart in the presentation. I won't read them all because I know you can. But let me start with the first one here, under business priorities. Information security has become a boardroom topic, meaning boards of directors, boards of major banks worldwide, chief information officers from military organizations. They're all focused, in part, of course, they have many, many things to worry about at that level of business or government, but they're all now very aware of the importance of information security to their business. And when you think about the boards of directors, you heard the captain say that there's several essential elements for information security: people, process, training, technology, and you heard her say, and budgets. Absolutely. And those are the people in business and in government could this happen to us? And by that I mean typically following a major breach that has occurred. They read about a big security exposure in the Wall Street Journal or some other major business press, and their question is, could this happen to us? So that's the question that you need to be prepared to answer. And of course, the question is, or the answer is yes, this could happen to us, but here's what we're doing to prevent it. The next thing I want to talk about is 3 key alternatives. And this doesn't matter who the client is, what industry they are, whether they're in Latin America or Europe or Asia or North America. They really have 3 things that they're primarily worried about in relation to information security. And now I'm talking about at CIO level or above. Number 1, they're worried about business continuity of operations. I had a meeting in 2011 with the general who was responsible, the admin responsible for information security and information technology for the United States Navy. We're talking about information security, but his biggest concern, his first example was, I have to stay operational. So as security professionals, we often think about the number 2 priority, which is protecting information from being lost. But keep in mind that the broader business need is to maintain business continuity. So business continuity, protecting valuable and sensitive information, and the third objective is compliance with regulations. And of course, compliance with regulations is going to vary by industry, by geography. So those are the 3 things from a business perspective that every customer I call on is worried about. Now, I'm going to now talk a little bit about some technical and threat priorities, things that as technologists we get sometimes a little more excited about than the business aspects, and frankly maybe sometimes a little more excited about than we should. But let's start with these things. Everybody in here has one, I'm sure. They represent a tremendous change in business. And when I say business, I mean government, I mean military organizations. Every customer I call on, it may not be number 1, it may not be number 2, but it's going to be within the top 3 concerns that they have from a security standpoint. So tremendous change, tremendous opportunity, but a lot of risks around security devices. So mobile and smartphone technology is right at or near the top of the list for most of my clients. I'm going to talk a little bit about cloud. Cloud computing, again, like smartphone technology, represents a huge business opportunity. I am now starting to see cloud adoption take off. Security has been a major inhibitor, though, up until now, and will remain, I think, a major concern for enterprises that are looking to leverage cloud technology. So that's a technology that as professionals in the field, we really need to understand and be able to address security concerns with the cloud. The next one on the list, increasing attack sophistication. So more and more we're seeing so-called APTs or advanced persistent threats attacking all types of customers across, regardless of industry, regardless of geography. So increasing attack sophistication. But the next item on the list, application vulnerabilities. So good old-fashioned web app hacks remain from a numerical standpoint the biggest problem. So you have to be worried about the advanced threats, but you have to protect against good old web app vulnerabilities, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in one of the examples. Insider threats. This can be, employees or members of the military or government who have, I'll say, gone bad. Or it can be insiders who are manipulated by outsiders through these advanced attacks through spear phishing or other types of attacks. I'm going to skip down one in the interest of time and talk about critical infrastructure. And again, you heard from the captain concerns over critical infrastructure. This one from overall societal impact really worries me the most. So I'm sure everyone here is familiar with Stuxnet and the story around Stuxnet. The issue with critical infrastructure, though, is that we are all vulnerable, and many of the enterprises that control critical infrastructure are less than capable of dealing with the cyber threat. They may be less than capable because of technical reasons, financial reasons, or political reasons. I was in Italy in October, speaking with a number of cities from across Western Europe, and their view of critical infrastructure attacks is it's probably not going to happen to us. It's probably not going to happen to us. Low probability. The problem with that defense, which is I'm not going to worry about it because it probably won't happen to me, is that if it does happen, the consequences are very significant. So I think over the next few years we'll see an increasing focus on critical infrastructure to address what I think is a very serious threat to transportation, to the financial sector, to water and sewer, all aspects of modern life. And last but not least, big data security, so-called big data security. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in some examples. All right. Now, the next point I want to make is that addressing all these concerns is a very complex issue. There are infrastructure concerns, and in addition to the traditional aspects of infrastructure, data center and laptops and PCs, we now, as I've already mentioned, have this issue around mobile, cloud. Many automobiles today have one-to-one wireless networks as part of the vehicle. Modern earth-moving equipment, farm tractors. Almost every modern device is now, many modern devices incorporate wireless networks that can be hacked and become a mode of entry for threat. Applications that sit on top of them, again, potentially vulnerable. And of course, the data that we all need access to those applications, and then various types of users. And with business models evolving so that we have federated organizations, we have business partners, we have subcontractors in the organization. In the past, the strategy really was to draw a line around the infrastructure and try to keep the bad guys out. Now that line has really gone away. The boundaries of the enterprise are very ill-defined. So it's a very complex problem to solve. And the result is what we see on this chart. This is from presents our rough estimate, IBM X-Force's rough estimate of the impact to that enterprise from that security breach. And the impact is cost, the impact is reputation, which of course is very difficult to quantify, but is very, very important. And how long and how difficult was it to recover from that security breach? In some cases, in fact, some of the ones that I'm sure everyone recognizes, consumer electronics, some of these gaming attacks, you can guess who the clients were. They were down for some period of time. So number one objective I talked about earlier, business continuity compromised in many of these instances. So what do we do about it? How do we solve this? And I want to make something clear. When I say how do we solve this, I don't mean that IBM has a silver bullet that's going to solve this problem for you, for our clients. It's working together. How do we, as vendors, as customers, and as security professionals, really address these problems? So IBM's approach to information security, I'll start with the fact that you have to have a comprehensive, multifaceted approach. So our approach encompasses all of those layers that I showed you earlier, people, data, applications, and infrastructure. And then we are focused on putting a layer of intelligence over those, combined with the ability to do in-depth analytics. We'll talk about that more in a minute. And then, of course, governance, risk, and compliance. And again, back to what the captain said earlier, solving security problems. We're one of the largest technology vendors in the world, one of the biggest security technology vendors in the world. But technology is only a piece of it. You have to have people, process, governance, risk assessment, in addition to great technology. And that really leads to the second component of our approach to security. We recognize that security is a journey. We recognize that every customer is unique, that the unique aspects include industry, geography, the specific mission and objectives of that particular enterprise. And as a result, each customer is going to be somewhere in a very individual manner on a journey from very basic, reactive, manual type approaches to security to very proactive and automated approaches that we call optimized for security intelligence. So, again, every customer is unique. Not every customer needs to be here. Many customers are quite happy being in a proficient stage of information security. And part of our approach, part of our strategy to help clients is to help them determine where they are, where they need to get to over a reasonable period of time, and then help build a roadmap to get there. A key aspect of our strategy, our approach to security intelligence, is to model our approach on what we've done in business intelligence. There's a lot of parallels, we think, and those parallels are really converging around big data. So more and more we have clients who are asking, demanding, some of our clients are more demanding than others, but demanding the ability to mine large quantities of data from a variety of sources across the enterprise, and in some cases even from outside their enterprise, and turn that into intelligence that they can apply in the security domain well as in the pure business domain. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a couple of minutes. Before I leave this chart, though, I do want to mention that we are a very acquisitive company in regards to security. And our last acquisition was a company called Q1 Labs. And this was a very, very important decision for us, not just financially, not just from the standpoint of being able to add to our technology portfolio, but we used the acquisition of Q1 Labs to form a new division within IBM that's focused solely, strictly on information security. So you can take that as an indication of how important we view information security, and that, of course, is a reflection of the importance of information security to our clients. Now, one more chart on IBM, and then we'll talk about some of our customers. We take advantage, I guess, we leverage our worldwide presence to help address these complex security problems. We, as you may know, we're a technology vendor. We also have large services operations around the world, and a big part of that services operation is helping customers actually operate their security, manage their security operations with them and for them. As a result, we have information streaming in daily from a very large number of security events worldwide. We in turn, IBM Exports analyzes this information and then turns that back around to help our clients with products and services. So, for example, just one specific example, we can now identify bad IP addresses globally, and we can then, through a subscription service, tell our clients, if you are using our products and see data being exfiltrated to any of these addresses, that's bad. They're going to suspect. Data from your enterprise is going to a suspect address. Again, a way to mine data that previously would be meaningless and turn that into intelligence that you can act on. All right, I'm going to move forward now to some case studies. All right, the first one is a secure process example. And this one has to do with document issuance. Again, it might not be what some folks consider a pure, if you will, information security problem. But again, I want to emphasize the application of information security to solve end-to-end business problems. As we all know, official documents have in the past often been subject to fraud, to being counterfeited, and as a result, there are exposures to us as citizens, fraud. If the document being issued is a driver's license, all sorts of bad things can happen, including people that shouldn't be driving, out there driving vehicles, causing vehicle accidents. From a process standpoint, you can think about a lot of inefficiency due to rework, and inflexibility, citizen frustration, and in the case of growing economies like yours, then potentially impacts on foreign investment. I think somehow we got some charts magically backwards, so you'll have to bear with me. So, in this case, which is a government agency here in Latin America, what we proposed was an end-to-end secure process using what we refer to as a secure by design approach, building security in at the foundation and looking at the process from an end-to-end perspective. The goal being to both improve efficiencies as well as reduce fraud and counterfeiting opportunities. The solution components in this case included biometrics, cryptography, some data security components, identity and access management, application vulnerability scanning, and all of the scanning and management conducted on an ongoing basis from a 24/7 security operations center. And by the way, we worked in concert on this project with our business partner Olympia, so you can tell not only is this a government agency in Latin America, but it's probably pretty close to home. Benefits: improve efficiency, reduce fraud. We certainly have helped, I think, reduce crime and hopefully reduce vehicle accidents. And then again, it really impacts the legal environment that society depends on, and the economy depends on, in part to attract more investment. So we think some great benefits there. I'm going to take this opportunity because it involved identity and access management to recognize one of my colleagues, Wendy Natter. And if you haven't taken the opportunity to talk to Wendy about identity and access management, you should. When we worked with Wendy at the state of Texas, she deployed what, in my experience, is one of the world's most advanced applications of identity technology to implement very fine-grained, very flexible, but very fine-grained access control to help protect privacy in this example, of student records. So, Wendy, if you get some requests for that, thank you. All right, case two. It looks like we're back on track in terms of the order of the charts. Another identity and access management, and this one really impacted not just return on investment through efficiencies that I'll talk about, but actually address some, I'll say, human resources aspect of the enterprise. So, this is I'm going to say, more of a traditional, in the U.S. we like American football in the term of blocking and tackling. It's U.S. football terms, so it probably doesn't translate very well, but fundamentals, fundamentals of information security. So this is all about multiple accounts and multiple passwords, and the frustration and the cost associated with those problems. It also has to do with manual administrative tasks around identity and access management, and because it's manual, because it's people and people make mistakes, the introduction of problems due to manual tasks. So why did the customer need to act? Help desk costs. And by the way, identity and access management, it's sometimes difficult to build a straightforward financial case for security projects. In the case of identity and access, you can often do it, and this is one of the key areas to focus on. So help desk costs, very expensive, and typically help desks are largely, the demand is largely attributable to calls for password reset, simple things that can be automated. Improved onboarding and really improving the speed to provision new employees with the access to information that they need to do their job. And by the way, at the end of efficient and quick offboarding to avoid lingering access that can yield significant security exposures. We talked about the problems with manual rework, eliminate that. And then again, back to this issue of cultural change. In the previous environment, users didn't feel that they were in a very secure environment. They didn't feel accountable for security because they didn't have the tools necessary to do their job in a very secure manner. So, the proposal, and by the way, the customer here is Polacha, one of your major banks. And the business partner we work with here is Delta IT. I think they're somewhere in the audience. We deployed a modern, there he is, identity and access management suite, integrated workflow with approval processes so that there is much faster approvals and much faster provisioning of credentials, yet it's done in a secure manner. The solution components here, identity and access management technology, including single sign-on, with some security incident and event management technologies, and this technology also improves the ability to address privileged identity management. Again, back to the issue I talked about earlier in terms of concerns around insiders. Privileged identity management is a huge issue that many of our enterprises are working to address more effectively. Benefits, increased productivity again, reduced mistakes introduced through manual work. A very big one here, compliance. So the third key objective I talked about, compliance issues. And then again, this cultural change because of improved access to tools to do their job. Another access management, and this time federated identity to support their business models. This is an insurance company actually in Spain. The problem here is really around web applications, and web applications designed to address new online business models. And of course, it's not restricted to an insurance company model. Many customers, retail and others, are rapidly deploying web applications to enable new channels of business. There's also cloud concerns that this type of technology can address through federated IDs and collaborative business models. So think about a manufacturer that outsources design of aircraft, for example, to third parties. Access to critical, very valuable intellectual property. We're giving a third party access, so we want to make sure we do it securely. Reasons to act. In this case, the web apps are critical to opening new business channels, and yet, as you saw earlier, they're also a predominant threat vector through good old-fashioned web app attacks. And this really gets to the essence of this intersection of business and security technology. Because enterprises they're demanding new ways to approach business, new ways to collaborate with partners, and yet they need to do it securely. The solution here was an integrated web access management system along with identity federation that allows the partners to authenticate and then pass those credentials automatically using industry standards to the enterprise that we were serving. It includes some things like integrated reverse proxy, LDAP compliant user directories, and again, federated identity management. So the benefits here, application development savings by externalization of the access control technologies, improve security of those apps, highly scalable, by the way. These types of technologies are able to handle tens of millions of users in commercial type applications. All right, my fourth and final case study, security and big data. This is about leveraging security and analytics technologies to improve this customer's ability to identify criminal trends, crime trends, to be able to improve their ability to solve crimes, and in some cases, be able to actually predict through trend analysis where crimes might occur and be able to reduce the occurrence of crime. The problem, of course, is that criminal activity engaged in violence is prevalent, unfortunately, in almost every big city. Maybe you could take some out of the list that have unique government systems. Police forces all stress to be able to identify these trends, perhaps lacking technology, and the information, one of the reasons that they have trouble doing it is the information is often spread across various sources, disparate sources, so it's very difficult to assemble the information and correlate it. Impossible typically using manual technologies, and very difficult using, impossible using manual methods, and difficult using older technology. So reasons to access and safety. And of course, as cities grow, as they are in your region, the problem becomes bigger and bigger, and there's an impact on quality of life, and again, on attracting foreign investment. The solution here, a combination, and there's no off-the-shelf, we've got a silver bullet to solve your problem solution here. This customer uses a combination of security technologies and business analytics. I'm going to talk a little bit more in my closing with you in just a minute about what some of those security technologies look like, as well as some traditional security technologies like identity and access management. So it does you no good to identify trends, to have information that can be acted on to solve crimes or even to eliminate them, if you have an insider that is exploiting it. So we can control that through access management technologies, including privileged identity management. Lots of benefits here. Significant improvements in the rate of solved crimes, the time to catch offenders, and then, again, a little bit harder to quantify, but as these tools increase the ability to do trend analysis, we can really help police forces around the world. This happens to be a Latin American case, but we have customers globally. Be able to spot trends, be able to react appropriately in advance, and really reduce crime proactively. Now, I want to close with this final chart, and I've labeled it the future now. I've shown these technologies all together, but to be perfectly honest with you, there are very few customers that are actually using all of these together at once. So this is more a vision of what the future will look like. These technologies are all available today. It's just a matter of putting them all together to meet individual client needs. So let's start with this most recent security acquisition, QRadar Security Intelligence. This is a product that allows us to look at high volumes of data from a wide variety of inputs, including network flows that aren't considered traditional security inputs. And we can, this is a rules-based engine, so we can analyze anomalies and do that in a very effective and very user-friendly manner. example, to look at huge volumes of data at machine and network speeds and spot trends. Not just for security, but for other applications as well. Now, I2, another relatively recent acquisition for IBM. I2 is a product that has been well used by military and police clients globally, including some in the region. And this enables fraud reduction by allowing relationships by people that aren't intuitive and again aren't able to be discovered through manual processes. So second and third order relationships that allow policemen and women to associate people in ways that allow them to identify criminal terrorist activities. And last but not least is SPSS. This is another relatively recent acquisition, and this is a product that really is focused on trend analysis and prediction through statistical tools. So, I call it the future now. We do have, again, many clients globally. Some of the leading edge customers are in the banking industry who are actively working with us to deploy some or all of these technologies in their organization to address security and related high volume trend analysis problems. All right. I again want to thank you very much. I'm humbled that you invited me to present here. Very pleased that I had the opportunity to come to Raleigh. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but if there are any questions, I think we probably have time for me to address a couple. If anyone has a question or comment.